All right, welcome and thank you for attending our webinar today. My name is Ashley Limbers and I'm the marketing lead here at Encompass Solutions. And at Encompass, we specialize in ERP consulting and implementation to help manufacturers solve challenges, streamline operations, and drive growth. As a premier partner of Epicor, we deliver tailored ERP solutions that empower businesses to succeed. And today we're discussing Click BOM Sync with CADLink with our partner QBuild. Just a few things before we get started. Today's webinar is being recorded and a copy of that recording will be emailed to you. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box in your Zoom control panel and we'll bring them up during our Q&A session at the end. And now without further ado, we'll turn our time over to our speaker, Natalie Fernandez, the Epicor Partner Manager at QBuild Software. Natalie has been the Epicor Partner Manager at QBuild Software for the last 2 years out of their Toronto office. Natalie started as the project manager at QBuild and is now the Epicor Partner Manager. Graduating from the University of Waterloo with a degree in mechanical engineering, she has been in the engineering industry for 5 years. All right, Natalie, over to you.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Ashley, and thank you everyone for joining today. So as Ashley mentioned, today we'll be talking about CADLink, which is a product by QBuild that integrates directly with Epicor. So my name is Natalie. I am our Epicor Partner Manager at QBuild. I deal with our sales process as well as our projects. I wear a few different hats. I also train our customers on using CADLink. So when we jump into the demo portion, if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I will get to as many questions as I can after the demo. And if there's any that I cannot answer, I'll be sure to ask Ashley if I can contact the attendees after to answer the questions. So here's the agenda of what I'll be going through today. I'll be starting off with a little bit about our company, QBuild. Then I'll be talking about why our customers have chosen CADLink as their solution. I'll show a demo of our product CADLink, as well as a customer success story, and we will have time for questions at the end. So to start off, about us at QBuild, we are an engineering integration company. So we create systems that integrate things like CAD, PLM, or PDM systems into Epicor. So we have been a Platinum ISV partner with Epicor for over a decade now. We have over 2,000 customers and over 50 integrations with different CAD, PLM, and PDM softwares. This is a timeline of our company and how we've grown over the years. So we were established in 2007. We became an ISV partner with Epicor in 2011. We began our expansion worldwide since then, opening offices in Germany, the USA, and then new this year, we've opened an office in Japan. On the screen here, we have a few of our Epicor CADLink customers. All of these customers have been using CADLink and possibly another one of our solutions, NestLink or ECX Manager, for many years. A lot of them have customer success stories that are on our website. So if you have any questions about these CADLink projects, you can feel free to ask as well. Right. So now we'll jump into why these customers chose CADLink. So CADLink is an integration tool. It's a software that sits between a CAD, PDM, or PLM system and is used to automatically sync part and BOM information to Epicor. It's also bidirectional, so if changes are made on the Epicor side, users are able to use CADLink to then update their CAD software or PDM or PLM to then match the information that's in Epicor. So CADLink really is that link between the two systems. And when we're talking to prospects, we normally see a couple of different alternatives. The first being manual entry. So a lot of companies will come to us and let us know that they're using manual entry to type their part and BOM information into Epicor. And so the benefits of manual entry is that there's zero software costs. However, these customers do complain about typos or misinformation that can lead to late shipments or mistakes in the BOM. It's time consuming, so engineers who would much rather spend their time designing and testing are spending time manually entering information into Epicor, and they get to spend less time doing what they love, which is design. The second alternative that we see is a homegrown export-import tool. So this is faster than manual data entry. Often we'll see companies using Excel or some sort of SQL program to export data from their CAD system and import it into their ERP. However, with these systems, it often requires data massaging, so the CAD software doesn't always export the BOM in the most friendly way for Epicor to accept it. There's no data validation, so it's still required for an engineer to validate the data in Epicor after it's imported. It's often reliant on a single person in IT, so if there's any issues with the system, this person in IT would have to come and check on the homegrown solution, and software upkeep is required. So if there are any changes in versioning to the CAD software or to Epicor, there might be changes required in this export and import solution. So the main pain points that we get from both of these alternatives is, first, with manual entry, there's human error. People make mistakes. We may not type in the correct things all the time, and it's not very effective in terms of time and resources. As mentioned, engineers would prefer to spend time designing and spend less time on data entry. With the export-import tool, the pain point is the blind push. So there's no validation in the part and BOM information. It's still possible for Epicor to receive the wrong part and BOM information, and it's not bidirectional. So there's no way for Epicor to update the CAD system if any changes have been made to the BOM. So what these pain points lead to, they lead to slow engineering. They can lead to wrong builds if there's mistakes in the BOM, as well as wrong inventory. And in general, all of these mistakes and slowness leads to frustration, both from the engineers spending time on data entry, the planners maybe having the wrong BOMs, and maybe production having the wrong parts on the floor. And so after speaking with companies about these pain points, we've brought them the solution of CADLink. It is a tool that integrates directly between CAD, PDM, and PLM and Epicor. It provides a direct link to Epicor, so there's no need for companies to build their own homegrown solution. It updates items, BOMs, and operations directly from the CAD system. So there's no need for duplicate entry. In your CAD system, you'll already have your part numbers there. And so CADLink will pull those part numbers into Epicor. It's bidirectional, so you are able to update your CAD systems with any changes in Epicor. It's also Epicor specific. So in Epicor, when creating a part, you need to assign a part type, a product group. You're able to do all of that within CADLink. And there's also that data validation piece. So it lets you know if there's any errors in the BOM or any discrepancies between your CAD system and Epicor. All right. So now that I've set the stage, I'm going to flip over to my CADLink demo. So I'm going to pause my sharing just for a moment. And for my demo today, I'll be using SolidWorks. All right. So I have my SolidWorks model open. This is a print head, so it creates stamps of a date. And for our demo today, I'm going to pretend that I'm an engineer that has just finished making updates to this design, and I'm now ready to push any BOM changes that I've made into Epicor. So the way that I do that is using CADLink, and CADLink integrates directly with my CAD software. So in the Tools menu of SolidWorks, I can find the CADLink menu, and I can open the CADLink standard BOM. You'll notice there are some other options as well. So CADLink, our standard BOM, integrates with the Epicor Engineering Workbench. Our Job BOM writes to Epicor Jobs, and our Quote BOM writes to Epicor Quotes. So it all depends on where you want CADLink to populate information. But for today, I'll be launching our standard BOM integration, which writes to the Engineering Workbench. So as CADLink opens, it makes a connection to Epicor, and it's using the part number in SolidWorks to see if parts exist in Epicor or if they're new. And it's looking for any existing data to see if there's any differences between SolidWorks and Epicor. When CADLink loads up, we see a color-coded grid, and each color lets us know different changes and information about the BOM. So we'll start with the color white, which is in our top row here. The color white represents parts that exist in SolidWorks and also exist in Epicor. These parts have maybe previously been synced or were created in Epicor manually. However, some of these white rows we can see have yellow fields in them. And yellow fields indicate discrepancies. So when you right-click on a yellow field, CADLink will let you know the information coming from SolidWorks. So we can see my SolidWorks revision is B. We can see the information coming from Epicor, which is revision A. And we can also see if there's any other existing revisions in Epicor. So fields can be yellow for any of the properties that we see here, if there's differences between what's represented in SolidWorks versus Epicor. You are also able to click between the two versions, or you can manually type in and change the value if needed. The next color that we see on the screen is the color green, and green rows represent parts that are new to Epicor and they do not yet exist. So when CADLink saves, it will be creating each of these green parts in Epicor for you with all of the information that you see here. So we'll create it with the description, with the part type, product group, and product class, which are all required in Epicor when created parts. For these green rows, if I had to change the part type, unit of measure for each of these rows, it could become cumbersome. I am able to do so using the drop-down menus here. However, I'm also able to make use of the new part template functionality. So in Epicor, you're able to create templates, and in CADLink, those templates will appear in the drop-down menu here. When you choose a template part, CADLink will then update the properties of the row to match those of the template part. This is a way for you to speed up the selection of these Epicor-specific fields, and it's also something that can be mapped from SolidWorks itself. So I'll pick a component here. We'll see that my product group and my part class updated to match the properties of the template part number in Epicor. And in the future, I'm also able to add this value into my SolidWorks properties. And if CADLink finds this in my SolidWorks properties, then when CADLink initially loads up, this value will already exist here and these properties will already be updated. The next color that we see on the screen is the color gray. And gray rows represent parts that are in Epicor but are not in my SolidWorks BOM. When CADLink saves, it will be deleting these parts from my Epicor BOM. And this could be for one of two reasons. The first is that it's possible that I've done a redesign and I don't need these gray parts anymore. So if that is the case, then CADLink will be deleting these from the Epicor BOM, but they will remain on the part master. The other reason why gray rows may exist is because they are consumable items. So items such as paint or glue or tape, things that are not necessarily modeled, but are important to be in the Epicor BOM. If that is the case, we are able to handle that in CADLink through something that we call a manual part. So on the left of each row, you're able to right click and you can click convert to manual part if you see a gray row, which will turn the row to blue. So blue rows represent manual parts, which are similar to gray. They exist in Epicor, but not on my SolidWorks BOM. However, the difference between blue and gray is that blue rows will remain on the Epicor BOM because they are consumables and they need to be on the Epicor BOM. You're also able to add brand new manual parts at this point in the CADLink grid. So when you right click, you're able to click add manual part, which will add a blue row in CADLink. You can then search your Epicor environment by either part number or description for an item that you'd like to add. So in my assembly, I don't have any bolts modeled, but I am able to add them at this point. This addition will not add the bolt to my SolidWorks assembly, but it will add it to my Epicor assembly as a manual part. Right. I'm going to scroll over to the right. We can see some of the Epicor required fields here, and we also see a column for attachments. So if you'd like to add any attachments to the part revision in Epicor, you are able to do so with CADLink. You would browse your computer just as you would browse your computer for any other document. However, you're also able to add attachments automatically. So CADLink will search the folder that your assembly is in for attachments that match the part number that you would like to attach to. That is why for this line here, we have the number 1 in the attachments column. This means that CADLink found an attachment where the document type matches the doc type in the settings and has pulled it in to push through to Epicor. On the right side of the BOM grid, we have some columns that start with the word MTL. These words indicate raw material. And so in CADLink, you're also able to add raw materials to the BOM. At the part level, you're able to go into the material part number column, and you can search your Epicor database, again, very similar to the manual part process for a raw material. CADLink will then bring in the part number, description, and unit of measure. The only property that I need to define is the quantity. Now, the raw material part number and quantity is also something that can be mapped from SolidWorks. So if I had a property with this value, then CADLink would automatically load this in when I initially launch CADLink. All right. I'm going to scroll back over to the left here.
Hey, Natalie.
Yeah.
Hey, would you mind doing that one more time, a little bit slower? We had someone ask if you could do it again, adding raw material.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Perfect, thank you.
So in the raw material part number column, at the part level, so not an assembly, but it needs to be at a part level, there's a little box that shows up in the row. If you click on it, a search window will pop up, and you can search Epicor by either part number or description. When you hit enter, CADLink will query Epicor to look for anything that matches or includes steel in the description. And then I'm able to pick from the list that CADLink pulls up. When I click accept, CADLink has now applied this raw material to this part number. Okay. Yeah, definitely let me know if there's any parts that you'd like me to go over again.
That was perfect, thank you.
Right. So I'll scroll back over to the left, and I'll open the CADLink side panel. So we have this toggle side panel that I'm opening using this toggle button. And I'm able to extend it out to the left just to see a little bit more of what CADLink is showing. So the first, is it possible to add paint as a raw material? Yes, it definitely is. So sorry, Ashley, I'm gonna go ahead and just answer the questions as they come up because I can see them now.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So as long as paint exists in your Epicor environment, you can add it. I'm not sure if I have a paintbrush in my Epicor environment, so that's something I can add in. But essentially anything that exists in Epicor can be added as raw material. You would just need to know a bit of the description or the part number. All right. So I'm going to move on to the CADLink toggled side panel, which just has a little bit more information and functionalities in addition to the colored BOM grid. So the first tab that I'll go through is the BOM Changes tab. And this tab is a summary of all the changes that CADLink will be making when it updates Epicor. So on the right side in the notes, we can see that for the green parts, we are creating them and inserting them to the bill of materials. The raw materials that we just added will be simply inserted to the bill of materials. And if we scroll down, we can also see the gray row where we will be deleting from the bill of materials. This changes summary is read-only. However, you are able to export it to either PDF or Excel, as well as the BOM grid itself. So if you need to share the changes that CADLink is making with any non-CADLink user, you are able to do so. Right. The next tab to go through is the Operations tab. So in addition to inserting part and BOM information to Epicor, you're also able to add operation information. So when you select in Assembly in CADLink, you're able to add operations one by one. So you can type in the operation sequence and pick an operation as well. This list is coming directly from my Epicor environment. And once I've added operations to the parent part, I can then go to its children in the related operation column and pick the stage of operations that I'd like to apply to them. This can be a little bit cumbersome depending on the amount of operations that you need to add. So we also have the ability for you to add operation templates. So I'll choose a different assembly down here. And instead of adding operations one by one, I'll choose an operation template. So these are set up in my Epicor environment, very similar to the template parts. However, instead of copying over properties, we are copying over an operation sequence. So these three operations have now been applied to this top level assembly, and we can go to its child parts and we can choose which operations we'd like to apply to them. Great. The next tab that we have is the Manufacturing Impact tab. This tab is read-only, but what it does is it gives you a little peek into Epicor. It lets you know if there's any inventory, purchase orders, job orders associated with the parts, where they're used, and if there's any cost associated with them as well. So this tab, again, is read-only, but it is helpful sometimes to take a look into Epicor at this stage just to see what you have available. Great. The next tab is called CAD Data. And similar to how the Manufacturing Impact tab shows us Epicor information, the CAD Data tab will show us information from our CAD system, in this case, SolidWorks. So we can see the property category that says configuration or custom, and we can see all the properties that CADLink is able to pick up from each of the items in my BOM. So this tab is read-only, but we provide it so that when you are looking through this BOM, you are able to validate the information. You can also check that everything is mapped correctly, and you can also decide if you'd like to add a mapping. So I can go through my model and I can notice that I actually have a material mapping. So in the future, I may add this to my CADLink field mappings so that CADLink automatically brings in my material over here. The final tab that we have over on the right is our Messages tab. As CADLink integrates directly with Epicor, its validation follows all the rules of Epicor. So it mimics exactly what a human would do when they are creating a part in Epicor. And Epicor requires a description when creating a part. So we can see two error messages here indicating that there are descriptions missing, and the CADLink Save button is also grayed out. So CADLink actually won't let you save if there's any errors in the BOM. Daniel, I'll get to your question right after going through the Messages tab. So with each message, if you double click on the message, CADLink will highlight the row where the error is occurring. So I can see that this description is missing. I can type in a quick description here. And then I can double click on my other error message and a description is missing here as well. In this case, I don't actually know the description that would go for this part number. So in this scenario, instead of typing in a description, I can instead deselect its Save checkbox. So with CADLink, you don't need to save the entire BOM each time that you run CADLink. You can pick and choose using the Save checkbox column here. If there is any error messages associated with items and you do not know how to resolve them, you are able to deselect the Save checkbox, go talk to your engineering manager or whoever would know, and you can rerun CADLink. So CADLink's able to create and update. So in this scenario, CADLink would be saving everything except for this first level BOM, and this is also reflected in the changes column. So if we were to reselect this, this BOM would be added to the changes summary, and when we deselect it, it disappears. All right. I want to quickly answer Daniel's question in the chat. So Daniel asked, what happens if there's a new revision in Epicor? By refreshing CADLink, will grab all updates immediately? So the answer is yes. When you hit refresh in CADLink, if there's any changes in Epicor, they will be reflected here. So any changes in description. The same thing would happen as well if you close and reopen CADLink, but it is not live. So you would need to hit refresh or close and reopen CADLink in order for Epicor changes to be reflected. Okay. There's just a little bit more functionality to go through. So at the top of the CADLink screen here, we have some filtering options. You are able to collapse and expand the entire BOM. On the left, there's also some minus and plus symbols that you can use to expand and collapse the BOM. You can search by part number or description to bring certain items of interest to the top. And you can also filter the BOM by parts that are new. This can be helpful if you would like to apply templates to only the new parts. You can filter by delete parts, so you can review whether or not these should be converted to manual parts or actually deleted by CADLink. And you can also filter by manual parts themselves. On the left, we have our save button. So we have our regular save button or save part master. The regular save button will update both the part master and the bill of material, whereas save part master will only update the part master itself. The refresh button is often used if there's any changes in Epicor, or if after we save in CADLink and hit refresh, we'll be able to see all of the green rows turn to white. And we have our settings button. CADLink is highly configurable. So if you do need to access the settings to see how you've set anything up, you're able to do so from here. All right. So that concludes the functionality of CADLink. To end off here, I'm going to do a quick save into my Epicor environment. CADLink will ask if I'm sure, and then it will begin saving into Epicor. So CADLink uses an ECO group, similar to a regular Epicor user, in order to update the engineering workbench. It will go through and let you know when each BOM has been completed. And as soon as you see a completed result over here, you will see the BOM update in Epicor. At this stage, if you've asked CADLink to update CAD properties, it will. In my scenario, my CAD system is the source of truth, so I want to keep the properties the way that they are. So now that CADLink has saved, I can hit refresh, and we'll see all of our green rows turn white. We'll see our gray row has disappeared, and our blue rows are stayed. So all of the green rows that we saved to Epicor have now turned white, indicating that they now exist in Epicor. The only subassembly that we didn't save still remains green. So in the future, once I find out the description for this assembly, I can then save it to the BOM. Our blue rows are our manual parts that we added, so they do not exist in my SolidWorks BOM, but they do exist now in my Epicor BOM. And we have a couple more discrepancies. So this was the description that I added of spring because I did not have a description in my SolidWorks model. And in this case, I did not have a revision in my SolidWorks model, but in Epicor I do. Right. Is there any flag in Epicor to say there is an update? Okay, so Ryan has a question that says, is there any flag in Epicor to say there's an update pending engineering approval? So yes and no. This is a part that is configurable in CADLink. You can have CADLink automatically check in the BOM, approve new revisions and unapprove previous revisions, or you can make it so that a person has to go into Epicor to do any of those three actions. So in the engineering workbench, some changes won't go through until they're approved. If you'd like CADLink to automatically approve those changes for you, it can. But if you'd like an engineer or somebody else to review the changes, that's also flexible on your end as well. Daniel has another question. Is CADLink compatible with Kinetic 2024.1? Yes, it is. So CADLink is compatible with any Epicor Kinetic versions that are supported by Epicor and Encompass themselves. Right. I'm going to flip back to my presentation just for a few more slides. We will have lots of time for questions at the end, so definitely keep rolling them in. Really quick question from Steve, is the versioning same as Epicor? Our versioning system is a little bit different than Epicor's, but we're always up to date. So Epicor always lets us know about any upgrades, and we are always compatible with the latest version of Epicor. All right. So I'm going to share my slides again. So just to go over the benefits of CADLink. With CADLink, you are able to reduce costs. So engineers get to spend their time staying in design and doing what they love, instead of doing manual entry and getting paid to do that. It eliminates double and triple data entries, so we keep everything in sync, and everything needs to be synced only once. It can be updated, but CADLink will reduce the risk of having duplicated entries. The software upkeep will be left up to us, so there will no longer be a need for an IT person at your company to be in charge of maintaining this software. We will take care of that for you. And another major benefit is that we will be improving your accuracy. So by taking the information directly from how it is designed and putting it into your ERP system, we are going to ensure that you'll have reduced scrap, improved purchase accuracy, as you'll have the correct part numbers, correct quantities. The wrong build situation will be eliminated, as you will have a BOM that is identical to your CAD BOM with no errors. And overall, this will improve on-time shipments and reduce the frustration from the pain points that we discussed earlier. So I also want to share a customer success story. I mentioned earlier that we have thousands of happy customers with CADLink, and some of those customers do sometimes write reviews or create videos for us. So I'd like to share one about our customer, Northern Transformer. They're located in Ontario, Canada, and they create liquid-filled transformers. They've been using CADLink for around 7 years with their CAD system, which is Inventor. So I'd like to just show a very short video about their usage of CADLink and how CADLink has helped their company.
Hi, my name is Alexei Miecznikowski. I'm the CEO at Northern Transformer. We've been a CADLink client for about 6 years.
My name is Russell Anderson. I'm the head of operations here at Northern Transformer. We manufacture liquid-filled power transformers. Our customers are the major utilities and large industrial organizations around North America.
My name is Jeremy Tapascio. I work here at Northern Transformer as an electromechanical designer.
I'm Edward Arujo, Senior Electrical Mechanical Designer. Prior to CADLink, We used Excel and Access databases to maintain our BOMs. It was very manual process. We would export an Excel sheet and then transfer it over to an Access database.
Before CADLink, we've been having to do a lot of our BOM uploads manually, which took up a lot of time, cost a lot of effort, design time.
One of the key things about our business is that we are an engineer to order business. So every unit that we build has been designed from a unique spec. This means that there is a lot of work involved in designing and managing bills of material, and this is where CADLink has been essential to our business.
Since we implemented CADLink, it's greatly reduced our workflow in terms of time. We're able to manage our bill of materials a lot better. Using CADLink, we were able to identify errors using the color code scheme provided by CADLink in their interface.
The check between our Epicor system and our CAD models is much more efficient. We can see discrepancies between parts on our ERP system versus what's made in CAD. And it just saves us a lot more time, makes things a lot more efficient, and gives us a lot more time to spend time on actual designing as opposed to manual entries.
Yeah, we have a group of very talented designers. Really want them focused on adding value, applying their knowledge, and not on repetitive and manual tasks. And so CADLink has really helped us do that.
Great. So that was our customer, Northern Transformer. If you would like to see any other customer testimonials or reviews, you are welcome to visit our website. A lot of our customers are very open to talking to people about how they're using CADLink. So if you'd like to talk to any existing CADLink customer, if you are thinking about using CADLink at your company, be sure to take a look at our website. You might find some companies that are similar to yours, and you are welcome to speak to them about their use of CADLink. All right, so that actually brings me to the end of my presentation and demo for today. I would like to thank everyone for attending, and we do have a bit of time left. So if there are any outstanding questions, I'd be happy to stay on and answer any of them. My email is also on the screen, so if there are any questions that come up after our session today, you are welcome to email me at any time and I'll get back to you.
All right, Natalie, it looks like we've covered all of our questions. If you do have a question, please type those into the question box so we can get to that. If not, Natalie will follow up with you. Is there anything else, Natalie, that you wanted to cover before we go today? Oh, we've got some questions.
We've got some.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll just answer these. So from Steve Fossey, are there any versioning constraints with SolidWorks? The answer is no. Yeah, with PDM, we integrate with PDM Professional. We are not able to integrate with EPDM Standard just because of API constraints on their end. But in terms of versioning for both SolidWorks and PDM Professional, we support up to 2025. How can you add, from Ryan, we have a question. How can you add fasteners in main assembly to fastener kit in Epicor? So if a fastener kit is set as an assembly or a part in Epicor, you can add fasteners as a manual part. So those are those blue rows that I showed where they aren't necessarily modeled in SolidWorks or the CAD system, but you can add them in if they already exist in your Epicor environment to the Epicor BOM. Ryan also asked, how would CADLink handle configurations in SolidWorks? So the answer is CADLink takes the active configuration. So whichever configuration is open when you launch CADLink, that is the BOM that CADLink will take when pushing to Epicor. If the fasteners are modeled in SolidWorks, then they will appear in the BOM automatically. Then it won't need to be a manual part, it will just be a regular part. How does CADLink handle virtual components? So we are able to map virtual components as well. They are a separate mapping. A follow-up question for you would just be, does your team use PDM? But if you have virtual or phantom settings in your CAD system, that is something that we can map. It's through something that we call the extended field mapping module. So we do have the standard fields that we map over to Epicor, which are the fields that I showed today. But in our extended field mapping module, you're able to map up to hundreds of fields from your CAD system or from Epicor, including the phantom BOM or virtual parts. Good point. Custom fields, attribute. Oh, yep, we can. So we can map custom fields. We can map reference designators. Those are reference designators are standard. We include that. Custom fields is if they are in the SolidWorks properties or in the PDM data cards, then we can map to them. Attributes, I would need a little bit more information on the attributes to answer that question. Can CADLink collapse CAD assemblies to a flat BOM? For example, a lock might be an assembly with its fasteners in CAD for convenience and consistency. Yes, we can. So we do have a flat BOM or a single level BOM setting. So CADLink can pull in that multi-level BOM if you have it. But if you only want CADLink to bring in a flat BOM to Epicor, it's just a matter of clicking a checkbox in the settings.
All right, that was a lot of questions. If you have any more, please send them over. If we don't get through them, Natalie will follow up with you. And then I'll ask you again, Natalie, was there anything else that you wanted to mention before we go today?
I'll just mention that there's two other products that may be of interest to the attendees here aside from CADLink. So we have our ECX Manager product that is a engineering change management software, and NestLink, which is similar to CADLink, but it exists between a nesting software and Epicor. So if your company does any sort of metal fabrication and would like to learn more, you can definitely reach out to me. I would just say take down my email. I'll try and reach out to everyone who asked questions today. But if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out.
Perfect. Thank you, Natalie. This is great. We appreciate your time today. Thank you, everyone, for attending, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
All right. Thanks, everyone.